Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we're looking at the E-flite Turbo Timber. I, as a buyer, like to know what I'm getting and what's in the box, so I thought we would do that first. We'll just take a look at what's inside, pull the pieces out, and go over it, and then we're going to head out to the field, Jason Cole and I, and we're going to fly this thing and see what we think. I have thoughts, theories, concepts, and more on the Turbo Timber. So here's the wing. As you come to expect from Horizon, the servos are pre-installed and hidden in the wing, which is nice. Graphics are pre-applied. It has nice gigantic flaps, ailerons, and there's the covering for that servo. Nice and smooth. You have your connector here for your CF tube and multiple outputs to go to your receiver and your lights. This is the tail group. Each time I get a Horizon plane, I'm always curious to see how they're going to handle the elevator and things like that. Sometimes they pop in, sometimes they screw in, and so I will go ahead and pop this on, and we'll take a look how that attaches. I've got to say, either way, I've never had any sort of loss or wiggling or any issues with getting my elevators on because of the great guys like Matt Andrin and all the crew over at Horizon that take time to think about how this all works and how it's going to go together for you. Those are your carbon fiber tubes. These are your slats. I have to admit that I have not put the slats on, and every time I don't, I go online to see, hey, is everyone putting slats on these things? And usually they do not. And I'm not sure. I almost did on this one. I thought, man, maybe I'll go slats. But if I could pop them on and pop them back off, I think that I definitely would do that. But it's more of something that you have to commit to, I think. So I just will save them and put them aside in case in the future I decide to put slats on it. Slats help your low-speed flying. And what else do we have here? Another carbon fiber tube. I believe there's a CF elevator tube and a steel elevator tube. And the steel version will help you get your CG back farther. I'm showing you to be sure and always look on the sides and the bottoms of your boxes. I have certainly missed things before that they packed into inserts on the side of a box or on the bottom of a box. This box really doesn't have a bottom. What do we have there? We have our binding plug, which usually any binding plug will work. And then that is very important. That's going to connect your wing, and those are your nylon wing screws. So these are things you want to keep a hold of. Don't put off to the side where the cat will knock it off the table. There's something else in there. Oh, it's on in the box. So we'll flip this around and look in. But what I was saying is the timber, man, there's so many of them now, and I've owned a few at this point. I was telling Jason they're like the Cub of today, and that they fly great. They're a lot of fun to fly. They're low stress. And the beauty of an E-flite timber is that you know it's going to go together easily, quickly. It's going to fly great right out of the box. That was not the case, by the way, 16, 17 years ago. Planes didn't. You would think that they would fly great, but not all planes flew great. But with Horizon, they always do. So thank you, Horizon, once again, to all the great designers that take time to make sure these things are doing what they're supposed to be doing. All right, be careful with your knife. That is actually a leather knife, so that's super sharp. Here's your floats. I'm not around water, and I wasn't even aware this came with floats. So everything's there, including your pull wires for your rudders on your floats. And there's also a separate set of landing gear wire that will allow you to attach that. We'll look at that in a second. Here's the other wing. The second sexiest part of opening a plane. The canopy, of course, is the coolest part for me. Everything's there, ready to go. Plug in, pop in, plug in your wires. That's where that plastic piece is going to go that we were looking at. What am I going to grab next? The other float. Yeah, swing and a miss. All right. We'll put those to the side. And now we'll get to the fun part. Looks like there's a retainer piece of foam there that I have to untape. You can, and I know they build the boxes this way. They build the box so if you wanted to take everything apart, put it back in the box and take it somewhere. The boxes are made for that. With something with this many parts, I personally would never put it back in the box. I guess if you wanted to ship it, the box would also be a great asset. So on some planes, I save these boxes. On some planes, I do not. The landing gear that I've been seeing recently is pretty awesome. It is sturdy, and it's got this piece in the middle that allow these springs to take any kind of hard landing that you might apply. They're a little tricky to get on. Probably the trickiest part about the whole build is just getting that landing gear spring piece in the center put together. So I've removed this section holding the fuselage on. Careful not to bing or ding my rudder. The tail wheel is already assembled. All the servos are installed. Graphics are pre-applied. If you're a Horizon person, you're going to expect this. If you're new to Horizon, this might be surprising. There was a question about that on the forums, what that's for. I'm pretty sure that's not for anything. If it's for something, be sure and let me know in the description below. So here's where the elevator is going to slide in, and your elevator tube. And it looks like the control horn to the rudder is on. Be sure and look at your user manual to verify I'm showing you the light there. To verify that you're putting the elevator in the right hole when you're attaching that. Here's the internals with all the wires. By the way, the wires are labeled on this side, right, left, and so forth. I believe they're not labeled on the wing, but it doesn't matter because you can see where it's coming from, right or left on the wing. This is the landing gear piece. I'm going to ask you to use some Loctite on your screws and your landing gear. That, of course, is the turbo portion of the turbo timber. And then we have a hotter wound motor, giving you ability to run a 4S battery, LED lights that look cool. It also has a hopped up ESC for that 4S battery. And we're going to fly it. I'm going to talk to you about 3S versus 4S. With the Timber X, I had strong feelings that it was made for a 4S based on the prop. This airplane, I feel like, could be run 4 or 3. It's not as big a deal. So here's your battery compartment with, you need to add Velcro there, by the way. Although it's pretty, the compartment itself locks that battery in pretty good. I would still recommend Velcro for the compartment to make sure you don't fling it out. We've flung enough batteries in our reviewing career here at RC Groups to know better. Then back here you have your tri-blade prop. That's probably more for scale look since it's a turbo prop, and if you wanted to, you could do a little research on what sort of prop alternative you could look at. You certainly want to have prop alternatives when you're at the field. You don't want to run with one prop. And then there's your landing gear for your floats. And I guess, other than the manual, Jason Cole will say, read that manual. That's everything in the box. That's what you get. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to build this in the review that's linked in the description. But now we're going to take this off to the field and fly it. Let's go. All right, we're at the field. And in the background, you may hear some of our club members having highly enthusiastic RC commentary and thoughts. And when we go, that's always something that we enjoy hanging out with our guys and talking to. But I wanted to do a little narration over this. And so what I'll do is talk a little bit about the turbo timber and some thoughts that I have. And then we'll jump on out and listen to the wind and the motor and all the other things at the field. The number one thing I think about the turbo timber that is different from the original timber is that the engineers and the team at Horizon Hobby have created a beefed up motor and ESC to allow you to run a 4S battery. So with the Timber X, I sort of felt like a 3S just wasn't enough with that airplane. It certainly would fly, but you could tell that it wanted a 4-cell. The difference between the Timber X and the Turbo Timber is that the Turbo Timber can run a 3 or 4-cell, and I believe that has to do with the props. So you're definitely going to get more performance off the 4-cell, but the 3-cell is completely acceptable in this airplane. If you were new, if you were looking for something a little more gentle, if you weren't into ballistic flying and unlimited vertical, then you could run with that 3-cell. If you're trying to get as much as you can out of your timber, then you could run the 4-cell and the Turbo Timber. So that is the difference. And I would also say, let's say that you already own a timber or you have owned a timber and you were looking to hop it up or do things to make it even better than it is. That is the essence of the turbo timber. The wing has been stiffened as well, and that's going to make, it shouldn't roll faster, but that stiffer wing certainly makes it feel as though it rolls faster. It makes all the maneuvers more crisp. And that's there to support that extra cell and that lipo and that extra power, which is dramatic. I mean, when you jump from 3 to 4, which you'll see in a second, it is a dramatic power increase. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to hand the sticks over to Jason Cole, who can ring out any airplane as far as it can be rung. And we're going to take a look at what the 4-cell will do, and you'll just kind of get an A-B of 3 versus 4. And I got to say, right out of the box, this thing flew great. It felt right. To me, some planes fly heavy or thick, and this airplane did not feel that way at all, very floaty. So let's jump over to the Jason Cole aspect of this and get flying. I'm hot.
Full flat, power takeoff. Maybe. Maybe.
Jason, does it feel nice and stiff, that wing? Can you actually feel the difference, you think?
Yeah, it's nice, especially this high wind, it's handling great. Look at this landing. That's a stall right there.
That was no flat. No, it did. Yeah. 6 inches.
You can take that off in your driveway.
That's the fun of these things. Where we had a contest taking all that. Yeah. We had to keep moving closer to the edge. Yeah.
Yeah, patented Jason Cole inverted flyby. You can build this thing in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, I would need to. That's all we had.
The hardest thing on this bird was the landing gear, getting that little spring and that little clip.
Yeah. I'm sure it's about like the original timber that I had.
Lots of vertical, Jason?
Oh yeah, plenty of power for it.
Unlimited, maybe?
Let's find out.
I bet it is.
What really is unlimited?
I bet that thing will climb out of sight.
Yeah,
Keep going.
I'd say it's unlimited until you hit the stratosphere.
That's what you like right there.
Let's see if it'll do a blender. Not really. It'll spin though.
Flat spin?
Regular spin.
A little low knife
Takes a
edge.
lot of
Look at-
element.
There you go. Keep it down.
Are you on that high rate? I guess you are,
I
right?
am, yeah.
You would have to be. If you weren't, that would be even cooler. It'd be cooler if you weren't.
Are you doing kind of a barrel roll?
It's like several snaps together.
Jason always shakes them out pretty good. Do you use the aileron on your
He
snack
makes me
station?
want to go violent.
Yeah.
He does.
Every time he flies something.
Rolling, send it! Now, can you land on there, Jason?
Well, now that is a challenge, and he's kind of thinking maybe.
Knowing that
He's kind of thinking maybe.
We try.
Yeah, well,
We're gonna try.
I think he's gonna try. Here he
This
goes.
I want to see. You got an angle across, not quite straight down anymore.
Close enough. Beep. Yeah, you'd have to put that out on the runway.
Yeah.
You can't do it with this roof.
It's fine. It was a cool takeoff.
So there's a good look at the turbo timber. Like I said, this is for someone who has a timber. Maybe you've worn it out. You're looking for something a little more robust, or you're looking at the timber family trying to figure out which one is right for you. With the extra rigid wing, the beefed up motor, and the ESC, the capability of running a 4S, this is certainly a timber on steroids and something to check out. Also, we've shown you how you can fly it like a normal airplane, and Jason Cole's shown you kind of the outer limits of what you can do with aerobatics on this bird. And then we also had fun with the stall landings and takeoffs. It certainly took off the picnic table. Now look, there was some wind going on out there, and I guarantee you that if we'd have moved the picnic table out into the center of the runway, we could have landed it on the picnic table. But it was too windy, and we were on the outside envelope of us being at the field. It was almost time to get gone. So, but lots of fun, man. And after it raked down that picnic table, I took it home and thought, I wonder what kind of road rash we got off of that. And I didn't see anything notable. It fared well. So tons of fun. Thanks to Horizon for making these great airplanes for us and being in business and being in the business of our hobby, because that's what keeps us going forward in what we do. I'm Jim T. Graham with RC Groups. Thanks for Jason coming out there to fly with me and shoot video with me. And thanks to the boys at Edwin Warner. Always something funny coming from from behind you while you're flying. RCgroups.com. Read the full review in the description below. There's a link. Go check it out. Pictures and everything that's not here. Bye.